All right, so I see Bob is getting ready for his session. So let's go ahead and proceed. A man who really needs no introduction to the SCOM world is Bob from TopQore, and Bob will talk to us about upgrading SCOM. Bob, take it away.
Well, that's a shame because I do have an introduction slide. All right. So the view is blue?
Yes, it is.
All right, then we are sharing the right screen. All right, hello and welcome to this session. I was asked to do a 45-minute talk about upgrading SCOM, and since this is a big topic, which can cover hours of webinar time, we went for a short version of the story first. So that is why the subtitle is Fast and Furiously. We are not going to show you 40 pictures of Vin Diesel today. So it is about the session being fast and not about the migration itself, although the migrations can be furious as well. Let's move forward. So just a quick introduction again here. My name is Bob Cornelissen and the nickname given to me is SCOM Bob. I'm now a 10-year Microsoft MVP for Cloud and Data Center Management, and my work function is being the technical director at TopQore and being involved in a lot of customer-facing work. My hobby is playing carom billiards, which is the billiards without holes in the corners and the sides of the table. And I'm also the charity ambassador for a charity called House of Tales from the Netherlands, who help a dog shelter in Thailand where abandoned and often abused street dogs are kept safe from harm and taken care of. Have a look on Facebook by that House of Tales name to get an example. Shortly where I work, so TopQore is an IT consultancy based in the Netherlands with team members spread across multiple countries and delivering consultancy services to customers of all sizes and verticals, with a specialization on monitoring and management tooling, best known for our SCOM services. So the main services were mentioned earlier. SCOM training at different levels from operator to admin to specialist. Also our community efforts such as free webinars and our knowledge partner program was in there. The SCOM implementations, migrations and upgrades, and our maintenance as a service is here as well to keep your monitoring environment healthy and running. And we have a SCOM health check to view and confirm the current status of your SCOM environment. So this is the agenda for this session. We have done the first one, and now we talk about the SCOM versions to establish if and why you should or could upgrade your SCOM environment. I will briefly mention some new SCOM features in newer versions, and next we will discuss the SCOM upgrade tree and what other factors you should look at to decide what kind of a migration or upgrade you will select. We have two agenda points here for the in-place and side-by-side migrations, where we mention some important points. And since we are at the MP University, we will say something about management packs in relation to SCOM migrations as well. And I actually got a screenshot from something in Silect MP Studio 11 with the permission of Mike. So let's go and do this. So we know that SCOM fits in the System Center suite, but what versions of the product have been out there and are they supported or not? So one important thing I want to point out to customers and to you is Microsoft support for the versions of SCOM you might have in use. In particular, also the difference between mainstream support, which is usually the first 5 years, and extended support, which is another 5 years, but is a paid option. And I have no idea about the percentage of you who might have bought the extended support, but I can imagine it maybe not even half of you. So this is relevant. So let's start with the very old stuff. So MOM 2005 is out of mainstream support and out of extended support. Maybe to add to this story, Microsoft bought the Operations Manager back in 1999 and made it into the MOM 2000 for its first Microsoft version of this. But I haven't seen that one anymore since a long time. So the SCOM 2007 went out of extended support as well a few years ago. Now let's move a little bit to the bigger sites. SCOM 2012 has run out of mainstream support years ago, and the latest update for it was also very long ago. And its extended support, if you have it, will run out in July this year, which is, a few weeks. Even though there is still some extended support on it, I would consider this a version to upgrade as soon as possible. Now, SCOM 2016, we just heard Akash say, is out of mainstream support, and it went into the extended support for another 5 years. To be honest, I don't think we will see any regular update rollup for that one anymore, except maybe if there are some security related updates. Now, I know a few of you have the semi-annual channel versions of 1801 and 1807 running, but keep in mind that it was always stated that support would only be for a few months, and that ran out already in the early 2020s. So these should urgently be upgraded. All right, so SCOM 2019 is the current version, or one of the current versions, I would say, and it has plenty of mainstream and extended support to go. And of course, Microsoft has released the next version of SCOM aligned with the new Windows Server version as is SCOM 2022, with both mainstream and extended support for many years. So if you are on some of the older versions here, I would urgently say, please try and move up to the 2019 or 22 versions, whatever is applicable to you, because it has a lot of extra things there. And I will talk about that in a minute. So we asked the community last week to fill out a quick poll about which SCOM versions they use in production currently. And these are the results of that small poll. Obviously, there are some other information out there for Microsoft themselves, but this is, let's say, coming from the public poll. So from this limited set of environments, which is still 127 in total, we can see that SCOM 2019 is doing well at over half of the deployments. And the first 10% of environments have already been upgraded to SCOM 2022 by now. Now, SCOM 1807 is still here at a few locations actually, and I would highly recommend moving those over to SCOM 2019 or higher as soon as possible. SCOM 2016 has still got a fair number, as is SCOM 2012. And somebody actually replied a SCOM 2007 in production out there somewhere. Now, as I said before, 2007, 2012 and 1807 should urgently move to something newer due to all of the support being gone for those. And the SCOM 2016 users also have to consider that only extended support is now in effect and not much will change for that version anymore. So I've done a number of these polls in the past during webinars, so let me show you the results of the previous years again, also in this graph. Now on the bottom we see the SCOM versions with the older ones at the start. I did put the 1807 there as well before the 2016 because of its support. So each version has 4 bars and you can see its progression over time from 2019 till now. So SCOM 2019, for example, we see an increasing percentage, and at this year it seems to be quite stable for the percentage. And the older SCOM 2012, we see numbers decreasing in time as expected. So SCOM 2016 was holding firm while it was in mainstream support, but now we see declining numbers when it went into extended support. And I hope this will, be the same for the rest of the community. And SCOM 2022 obviously was not there before and now is, but getting already to a 10% deployment rate would be very good. Of course, this all of this answers could be due to the community members who responded to a small poll and our tendency to reach a number of people who are often at the forefront of deployments, because that's also why you are in these kind of sessions. So why would you want to upgrade to a newer version of SCOM? So first of all, I need to mention version support again. We have just seen in the previous slide that you would want to stay within or near the mainstream support. This is also has to do with the update rollups coming out for those, with fixes and so on. Now, secondly are the new features. With every new version of SCOM and also with the update rollups come new features. This includes, of course, support for newer versions of SCOM or for the infrastructure and the agents, but also improvements in security measures, such as possibilities to run TLS 1.2 and group managed service accounts, which might be required by your company. Of course, we do know that migrating up in versions is sometimes depending on the licenses available to your organization. For those on software assurance, it is very easy to just keep moving up in versions. This is what you pay the software assurance for. But keep in mind that staying on the much older versions for a price reason only limits you a lot in the above mentioned items, and they might be running on Windows and SQL versions that you would also prefer to get rid of due to the age and support again. Now let's name a few features for this SCOM 2019 and keep it really short because that's what we're here for. Full HTML5 dashboards without any legacy dependencies. Added support for new SQL versions for running SCOM. The maintenance mode improvements, also while starting it from an agent. The new Linux Unix operating system supported with agents and management packs. Akash also named those for the next version. The new Windows operating system supported for running SCOM and the agent, obviously. And performance improvements, which isn't always easy to achieve without messing up the code of a product. So also keep that in mind. For SCOM 2022, I did a recent webinar at SCOMathon with a longer list of updates and what they look like. And you can watch a recording of that if you want to know more. I also have an extensive blog post about that with a few sub-blog posts on my blog. I just want to highlight these ones. A new set of built-in and custom roles for the administrator RBAC roles, whereby we have a read-only admin, for example, for auditors. And several options for custom admins who can be limited to only agent management or work with notification subscriptions, for example. An updated option for alert closure to be able to close an alert from a monitor, whereby the monitor is in an unhealthy state. The new option would also update the health state back to green while closing the alert. So that means that the dashboards and the alert lists are both showing the same thing, because otherwise you would have a red dashboard with no alerts. For the installations, there have been improvements, especially while deploying to clustered SQL instances for the SCOM databases. In this version, there is also full group managed service account support from the RTM version installer onwards, because that was one of the items which we ran into after the 2019 version started supporting them with an update rollup. So now you can do it straight from the installation. A number of visual changes have been done to some of the views here and there throughout the product based on requests made by the community. A nice one is an additional column in the alert views, which points out if an alert is from a rule or a monitor. And Teams notification channel has been added instead of the old IM channel, which was there before. And of course, this version of SCOM can be run on Windows Server 2022 for the infrastructure components as well. Now, at some point, you make the decision to upgrade to a newer version of SCOM for version control and for new features and so on. So what are the next steps? You need to decide the versions that you are upgrading to for Windows, SQL, and SCOM. This is because there is a relationship between them, which I will show you in a minute. And you need to decide the path to get to your desired version state, either through a migration to a fresh setup or an in-place upgrade scenario. A few of the thoughts around this decision comes from the previous line in here for the versions. So we might as well jump into that story about the versions first. Right, so to understand the upgrade scenarios related to SCOM versions, we have here the SCOM upgrade tree. Let's bring in the first set of long-term servicing branch versions and how they can be upgraded from one version to the other. As you can already see here, skipping versions is not supported for in-place upgrades. Next, we had the semi-annual channel versions and the path to get there. And SCOM 2019 was introduced and also the path to get there as well. And now we have the next version of SCOM as SCOM 2022 there. Now keep in mind that the right-hand semi-annual channel is discontinued, so we will ignore it mostly going forth. So let's keep focus on the main versions there on the long-term servicing branch. So this is the same graphic as I've been using it more often in my sessions. In the middle we see different versions of SCOM and how you can upgrade from one version to the other. And you can see that the supported in-place upgrade path are one version up every time. And we are ignoring the semi-annual channel for now, but you can move from the 18.0X to 2019 in one step as well. So now we are going to make this more interesting by adding Windows Server versions to it. Now first keep an eye on these lines floating in. What these lines represent, if they are touching the SCOM versions right in the middle, and I hope they are, is that this SCOM version supports the Windows Server version right below and above the line. All right, so let's bring them in. So here are the Windows Server versions. So for example, if you are running SCOM 2016, you can do that on Windows Server 2012 R2 below the line and Windows 2016 above the line. And if you are looking at SCOM 2019, you can run it on Windows 2016 below the line and Windows 2019 above it. But you cannot run it on a version lower than that. So that is why those two are made a little bit more bold here. Now looking up at SCOM 2022, this supports running the infrastructure bits on Windows 2019 and Windows 2022. Now in your design, if you pick a SCOM version to go to, you need to decide your Windows Server version for the underlying platform as well. And if you can, you could go for the highest supported Windows version, because as you see, it makes an in-place upgrade to the next SCOM version possible. Otherwise, you are doing multiple upgrades at the same time for both Windows and SCOM. Now let's add SQL to the story. So here are the SQL versions, and again, you see sometimes one or two versions above or below a line. So for SCOM 2019, you are looking at SQL 2016 or 17 or 19. So both below and above those lines. And looking at SCOM 2022, it is SQL 2017 and 2019. The newer version of SQL 2022 is still in preview, so the supported list for SQL backend cannot contain that version right now. It might take a while. You need to keep this in mind while thinking about version upgrades of SCOM and when designing a new SCOM management group. And you might be relying on what the organization supports and is ready for. You may be the first one to ask if it is possible to run a new installation on a SQL 2019 instance in that organization. And they might still need to design some stuff for that as well. The same goes for a Windows version. One other thing is that it does not happen often that a newer version gets supported. So you cannot design a SCOM 2019 today and take Windows 2022 as the base of it. Of course, for the agents it would work. So who knows, maybe it will work, but it has not been tested, so it's not supported. So keep in mind that the combination of these three is important for your backend and for the question if you can upgrade from the previous version to a new one, or from the one you design now to the next one coming after that. So in bullets, while we are deciding which type of migration we are going to do, the decision which method to use depends not just on the SCOM version, but also on Windows and SQL as well. If there are too many upgrades for these three products involved at the same time in production, there is a larger chance to mess things up, but also there will be many steps involved. And in most of those cases, but not all, I prefer to select a side-by-side migration to move forward, especially when there's a lot of steps, a lot of Windows steps, and then SQL, and then SCOM, and then update Windows again, update SQL again, update SCOM again. For every single server, that's a lot of work. When going for a side-by-side migration, I have a tip for a side-by-side migration, and that is to set up your new environment on the latest versions of the supported products, because it again gives you the possibility to do an in-place upgrade to a newer version of SCOM very likely, when you need it in a number of years. Who knows? And next you can copy the configuration, multi-home your agents, and migrate with less production impact. But let us first start with this step. For SCOM migrations and upgrades, the most important is to make a plan. There are too many moving parts to think that everything will be all right by inserting a setup disk and putting a weight on your enter key. And yes, I actually have one of those enter keys at home and it works. So I can hit it. First, check the health of your monitoring environment and versions and settings. You need this information for all of the next steps, even if it's a side-by-side or an in-place. And you need to select a path to either upgrade up or migrate up. Depending on your chosen path, you make a list of steps needed to get to the end result. So first you put in the big steps. These include Windows and SQL upgrades or fresh implementations. What do we need to do to get ready for those? Next, the upgrade or implementation steps for SCOM in main steps. And next you take these main steps and you split them up into a little bit more detailed steps. However, often you also need to consider process as well. Migrations could require new designs, project setups, budget, connections to other projects and products, and so on. Put these steps in a logical order. Granted, some of these steps will run simultaneously. For each step, determine how much time it costs to get it done. Who is going to do these steps? This can be a SCOM admin or a DBA, somebody at the networking or security team, or an external consultant. I hope you hire me. Note if, for example, a change is needed and approved by the change board, or if others, such as monitoring users, need to be notified. That way you can work through your worksheet and put checkboxes or change colors according to where you are for each step. And a timeline can be made from this. Some migrations take from hours to days, while others require a process which is spread across several months. Now let's focus on SCOM again, starting with the in-place upgrade scenario. A few of those items will be true for the migration scenario as well, of course. When you want to in-place upgrade, we start the story again with making sure that your versions are up to date for Windows, SQL, and SCOM. As we have talked about before, but I'm repeating this point because it is important. Remember the SCOM upgrade tree slide. Also, you need to be sure that the current SCOM environment is healthy. This is because upgrading a half-broken system will result in a fully broken system. Just you need to make sure that you have an account with the correct rights. This account must be a local administrator on the SCOM infra servers, including the management servers, SQL servers, also in a cluster scenario, and the SCOM web and report servers. It must be a SQL sysadmin, and it must be a SCOM admin. Now, as a tip, not always least privilege anyway, but as a tip, I prefer to temporarily use the SCOM data access account for this, because it might only have to be given local login rights for only this process to move forward. Using a personal admin account can sometimes result in the databases being owned by a personal account, and that might become a problem when somebody leaves the company. So that is why I sometimes use the data access account for doing this. Now, for an in-place upgrade, there are a few steps generally that you need to do to start, such as making sure that you have plenty of space in the SCOM database at 50%, and that its transaction log file is bigger than normal. This is because the amount of data going through it at the time of upgrading. Remove agents from pending management. Disable the notification subscriptions and disable the connectors to the other products. We also disable the IIS web console site in IIS, and we clean the ETL table with a script. Now, this script is listed on the applicable documentation sites at the Microsoft documentation site, and actually all of these steps are listed there as well. Also make sure that you have complete backups of management servers and all SCOM databases, and have a copy of applicable management packs if possible, or use software such as Silect MP Studio to have a repository of packs. Now, I would start with the RMSE, even if it's not really a big thing anymore, but you could just have to choose the first one, so I'm choosing that one. At first, I restart the RMS emulator server. This is to remove any pending restarts and to avoid some processes on the SCOM side getting stuck during the upgrade. This is one of those hard-learned lessons learned from the past before. So reboot the whole box first. Then stop all SCOM-related services on the other management servers. Start the SCOM installation wizard to upgrade the first management server in this case. And please do not even start the SCOM install wizard on multiple servers, because it will cause you problems. Do the management servers one by one only. Just finish the whole wizard first and then start it up on another server, not in between. Now, I cannot list all of the detailed steps here, but in general, you move through the SCOM infrastructure servers one by one, while upgrading their SCOM components. So you start with the management servers with or without SCOM consoles, the web server, report servers, the ACS server if you have any, and at some point you enable the connectors and notification channels again, which you turned off at the beginning. You can upgrade gateways, followed by SCOM agents and consoles. Depending on the timing and the size of your environment, you might be able to do a few of those last steps before enabling those connectors and notifications again. But having only a few agents and consoles not upgraded yet should not stop you from acting as if the main upgrade is finished to enable those things again. Right, so now for the side-by-side scenario, where we migrate from an existing older environment to a new SCOM environment, which is built up next to it. First of all, you make a design of the new management group. consider versions as talked about before for SCOM, Windows and SQL. Very often your existing SCOM design can be used as a basis for the new one if the same considerations still apply, outside of course the version numbers. Think about high availability, something which Kevin is going to talk about later on as well. Security, the number of servers required and their specifications. Are you going to use the same service accounts as the old SCOM environment, or are you creating new ones? Like we said before, for a side-by-side migration, you need to set up a new SCOM infrastructure. The existing one just keeps running in the meantime. We set up new Windows servers and SQL database servers and the SQL reporting. We set up a new management group with the first management server and keep adding management servers as needed. And of course, don't forget to update them. If it's, for example, 2019, you have the update rollup coming up there as well. The SCOM reporting server will be built up. The SCOM web console server or any other web console, such as Squared Up, for example. And we can get gateways installed as they are needed. In many cases, this does take some more steps within each item. And for that reason, I again highly recommend putting up a list of main and smaller steps for this, so you don't forget too many things. Next, when the SCOM infrastructure has been set up, you are looking at the migration between the two environments. Again, also here applies that it is good to have a list of steps. Now, this is just an example, and there is talk in this example about management packs, third-party management packs and solutions, user roles, we have notification channels, we have the web watcher nodes, and so on. And the agent migration story is there too, which might be more steps in your case, because you may want to create a script and an SCCM package to do the agent upgrade in your organization, instead of pushing the agent through SCOM. And of course, at the end, there are some steps about cleaning up the connections to the old SCOM and the old SCOM itself, obviously. But also don't forget about the documentation. You know, that thing that we always forget about? We can chat about the steps further in another talk, but we are a little bit limited in time here. Now, if you have immediate questions about this or need help, please come and find me at TopQore. And of course, we have the chat window over here and the Q&A window. Now, this is Management Pack University, and we want to take some time to think about management packs in relation to migrations. Actually, this was Harold's idea as well, to think about this. So there are several things to consider actually. So there is management pack backups, which involves having offline copies of some of the downloaded management packs. And it involves having a copy of all unsealed management packs in your environment. You could do that in several ways. For example, using the Ops Manager self-maintenance pack rule to automatically dump all unsealed management packs into a share every night and include that in some kind of a backup. Or you can use tools such as Silect MP Studio to maintain your total management pack set, and even for multiple environments such as your test and production management groups. When we are calling it a backup, we still assume that we do it for a reason, of something going wrong and we need to restore. Or we can use this as a backup of packs in order to use them for an import in the new SCOM environment while doing a side-by-side migration, to use it for seeding the new SCOM environment with management packs. We also need to consider third-party management packs. Think about the version of the management pack which is supported for your new SCOM version. And while doing a side-by-side migration, your management group name might change, or it will change. And some third-party management packs have a license based on the name of your management group, and you might need to contact them to get a fresh license. I've never seen any problems with that, but you still need to do it and you need to think about it. You probably have to download several sealed management packs from Microsoft and third-party vendors. And next we get to anything which is unsealed. These are overrides, views, run as profiles, custom monitoring, custom reports, and much more. Now that we have arrived at the unsealed management pack, this is where things get interesting while doing side-by-side migrations. Firstly, you need to get all of the sealed management packs imported which you need. Next, we arrive at the unsealed management packs, and here we run into some things. Often while we move up a newer SCOM version, this is also a nice opportunity to find out that there are some packs newer than the ones that you have been using. For example, since the year 2016, a number of Microsoft packs got changed from version specific to version agnostic versions. And these are actually complete overhauls of a management pack with different classes and so on. This also means that your overrides pack for the older version will no longer work, and you may have to create a new one. There are packs which stay the same in class structure and only have minor updates for newer versions of the pack, and in those cases your overrides made for the previous version should largely work. However, while migrating to newer sets of management packs, this is important. Also because there are many references in unsealed management packs to the management packs of, let's say, Windows and SQL, to name a few. And if they suddenly significantly change, you will have to update your unsealed management packs containing overrides or views, or even empty references, and clean those up before being able to import them. Some views or distributed apps might reference specific GUIDs, which would stay relevant if a similar base pack is used, such as the ones for Windows and SQL. But if you start using a pack with a different class structure, those items will not appear anymore in your custom views until you fix those. Now, some management pack migrations might be very simple, and sometimes the cleaning up of those things can be done later if first the same set of sealed packs is imported into the new SCOM environment. But when the opportunity is taken to change a few more things at the same point in time, it may mean some more work on the management packs. Something which also often needs fixing is web watchers. So when you use the templates to monitor websites, you are pointing to web watcher nodes or resource pools. After import, you may need to go into those web templates again in the SCOM console and reselect the watcher nodes or resource pools that you want to check for those, that you want to use for those checks. And it might be an opportunity to remove some old management packs which are no longer needed. Now, what is one way to approach this? For example, you could first do a migration of management packs from the old production environment into a new SCOM test environment. Here you get to clean up the old packs that you do no longer need and their override packs. Also to add in newer versions of packs, both sealed and unsealed, and adjust your references. There are likely a few places where new overrides need to be made, or it might be an opportunity to completely overhaul some custom or override packs. You will find that removal of some references to old packs can take some time, and there might be some unused or empty references which you could need clean out as well. And from here, you can use the new set of downloaded packs and the new override packs and custom packs to transfer them into the new SCOM production environment. The step between those two should be easy in this case, because you already cleaned everything up. Of course, you could go directly between the two production environments, but make sure that there are not many agents in there yet and you are not creating tickets and emails from the new environment until you have finished cleaning it all up and making it the way that you want to have it. Now, as I said before, there are several tools and methods out there to facilitate management pack migrations, ranging from manual work in XML, which I often run into, to using tooling, which can help you, like DevOps repositories, automation, EasyTune for overrides, asking Bob to take care of it, who will then ask a colleague to take care of it, and she is in the call as well, to using Silect products for this. So there are also combinations possible and likely, of course. Now, since we are discussing Silect products as well today, let's talk about what Silect MP Studio can do in this respect. And again, this is very short. Now, remember that I was talking about that two-step migration to first a new test environment. That was an example where a tool comes in, such as MP Studio. Even in the scenario of direct migration between the two production environments, of course. But in MP Studio, you can build up your repository of management packs, either downloaded or from the Microsoft catalog for the sealed packs, and all of the unsealed packs with versioning as well. Now, if you are going for higher versions of some packs, but they are in essence the same, you can quickly have MP Studio update the references in the unsealed packs to the new references coming with the new packs. You could use the verify feature to check if an MP is still valid after you made these changes. And of course, you can go for the MP best practices analyzer as well. Now, this picture links to the old SCOM management group in this case, and we can get packs and stuff from here and put it in a store. And from there, edit the management packs, such as edit references. As far as I know, the new MP Studio 11, which we will see in a few minutes, will also have a column in the Edit References wizard, which shows you if a reference is used or not in this management pack, so you can get rid of the empty references at the same time. It was actually me ranting to Mike last week about references and me wanting to quickly see if a reference is used or not, which got Mike to quickly create a column for me and for all of you, of course. Now, this goes to show that Silect does take any valid input and tries to do something with it to improve the products for everybody. Once you have the new packs and override packs in the test environment, you can simply use MP Studio to deploy the whole set to the new SCOM production management group. One other thing I like about the new version 11 coming out very soon is the Management Pack Explorer feature. Mike has shown this a few seconds before, and I'm sure that he will show this again in the next session. So this is a very cool it's a very cool feature to look through some of the packs or the whole management group to find objects, classes, GUIDs, and much more. For the migration scenario, it could be useful for finding some references or objects which are not always clear from the XML side. Also, I think it can be useful while moving from some of the older packs to the version agnostic packs. Like I said, this means that the new packs will have new class structure, so your overrides against the old pack will not work anymore. But what is possible is to quickly find overrides and what they are targeted at in the Explorer feature. And you can now create then new overrides which will target the, let's say, the new group or the new class in the new management pack. Because in many cases it is hard to find back what the overrides were targeted against if groups or specific objects of a class were used to make your overrides. All right, so to end us up, I quickly wanted to make a quick reference to our SCOM training offerings here at different levels. So we run these trainings at very low cost, so the threshold to follow one is very low. We are regularly running public SCOM operator trainings and SCOM admin trainings, which lead to these certification badges. And following that are the specific specialist topics, which range from designing for complex environments, specialist monitoring features such as network or Linux, and creating management packs at different skill and tooling levels. We are working with some of our partners from the community for some of this content. And we sometimes help out on very specific requests from our customers, of course, if they are not easy to fit in one of these boxes. So find out more on our website. Now this brings us to the end of this session, and we have to look at the clock to see if there is some time for questions right now, or if we move all of the questions to the end of today's event, because there is time allocated for an open Q&A at the end of the event.
Bob, I would suggest let me just publish a question just came in. So you say, yeah, we can take a few minutes to answer any questions that might come in.
Yes, sir. Let's see. Will the slides from today or even the recording be made available to the public in any way? Harold?
Yes, of course. Yeah, we'll be sending the slides out and recordings to everybody.
Very good. So that's a yes. With SXX, when you multi-home agents, okay, will they carry over the same agent ID so that overrides or group targeting still apply when management packs are copied over? So actually, there's a little bit of a story behind that, because we always thought that we had to multi-home an agent to get the same IDs, the same GUIDs in the new management group as well. And somebody actually did a research about that, and it turns out that these GUIDs are being calculated. So if you have the same management pack and you have the same objects there, they should calculate back to the same GUID as well. So it would mean that even if you just remove the hello agent and you put in a new agent on the same machine and you have the same management packs, then they will generate the same GUIDs. Of course, they would not do it if your old management pack was, let's say, the SQL 2008 management pack, or maybe the Windows specific one for 2012, and now you are using one which is more version agnostic. Because they are using new classes, then it would generate a new calculation there. All right, more questions? Marijn? If you are on SCOM 2016 and you want to upgrade, what version do you recommend to upgrade to? SCOM 2019 or SCOM 2022, and why? I would still try and go to SCOM 2022 due to the new features, the longer support that you have, and there are some, anything which is new there, and of course the security measures in there. So I would say if you want to migrate, you go for the best and the latest version if you can, if it's possible. Just keep in mind that an in-place upgrade, if you are in 2016 today, would lead you first to go to SCOM 2019 if you are doing an in-place upgrade. So have a look at the SCOM upgrade tree again in the recording or in one of my other sessions to look at what Windows and SQL versions you are on to make it easier to select one or the other migration option there. I hope that answers your question. All right, so next question coming in. Can I multi-home 2012 and 2022 agents? Yeah, I would say that it will work. Of course, the 2012 agent is not longer supported. So, you're on your own. But I think for most of the monitoring, it will still work. This is also actually a trick that we regularly have to use when you have 5 machines left in your environment which have Windows 2008 or Windows 2012. Then you can just use for example, a SCOM 2016 agent, which will still run on those operating systems, and then multi-home that or actually link that to your current SCOM environment, even if that's a SCOM 2022. You cannot expect, for example, the modern ways of agent maintenance mode to still work, because they changed and got added in 2019 versions and up for the agent. But for most of the monitoring work, they would still work. All right. I see some are in others in review. Generate SCOM alerts from emails which are triggered by NetApp storage. I think we can better take that one offline later. Another one, Yaroslav, can we use SCOM 2016 or 19 gateways connected to SCOM 2022 management server? Well, in the beginning, especially if you're doing an in-place upgrade, then you will first upgrade your management server and your gateway will still be the same. So yes, it will work and it will stay working as far as I know. But again, at some point, make sure that you are upgrading those as well to get the whole series the same. That is my best advice I can give. So in the end, they will be the same. But temporarily, yes, they will work. All right, another question. Is there GMSA feature in SCOM 2019? Yes and no. So the point is, it is not at RTM. So not when you install SCOM itself, then you still need to use your service accounts, your normal service accounts, let's say. After you have upgraded it to, let's say, update rollup 3, then you can start using GMSA accounts. The point is, if you already have update rollup 3 and you already are using GMSA accounts and you need to add another management server, then you would put in the RTM CD and that one doesn't understand what GMSA is, and then you got a problem. And that is basically what they fixed also in SCOM 2022, because now the setup CD knows what it's doing with group managed service accounts. Should we upgrade the agents to 2022 before setting up multi-homing? No, I don't see why. You can do this in any order. You could actually already start upgrading your agents to SCOM 2022, even if you are on SCOM 2019, and just link them back. So that would still work. And the other way, it will also still work. Let's say if you have SCOM 2016 or 19 agents, and you are already moving up your SCOM infrastructure to 22, that will also work. So you can do them side by side. All right, so I think we run out of the questions.
One more just came in, Bob. Let's take this one last question regarding maintenance schedules, and then we'll flip back to the agenda.
Yes, sir. Is daily saving time in maintenance mode schedules fixed in SCOM 2022? Woo! Daylight saving time. I have no idea. I would have to ask Akash or Kevin to see if they know about this. So if you are still in here and you know about this, then please look at this conversation and see if you can reply there.
Yeah, right. For sure. If we can't get to it before the last session today, the open Q&A session, we'll try and answer it at that time.
Perfect. I will stop sharing.
Well, thank you so much, Bob. Obviously, a very important topic. A lot of interest in SCOM upgrading, and I can't think of a better person to answer these questions and take us through it than yourself. So, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.